Hello everybody, and welcome to First Time Creepypasta Reads. Now this is where I read creepypastas for the first time, just like my first time fanfictions, and I hope that they don't take forever. But if you guys want me to go over and reread these creepypastas, or suggest me creepypastas to read first, or just read, that would be awesome. Thanks. By the way, I'm on creepypasta.com. I am not sponsored by this website. I just wanted to read some creepypastas because I have it in the description of my channel and I haven't done any yet. So, yeah, let's see some. Play with me, it said. I stirred in my bed, my eyes drowsy and heavy. A yawn blew out of my mouth. I was seconds away from falling deep into my dreams, but the voice shook me back into reality. Play with me, it repeated, a child's voice, one that I came to recognize early in my childhood. I laid with my eyes still closed, denying the fact that I woke up. I still felt exhausted and at the verge of passing out. If I just relax a little longer. Play with me, it muttered, but his tone somehow changed. It didn't come out with anger or hostility, but somehow it snatched my attention immediately. It sounded hopeless and lost, and felt as if those same feelings provoked me at that moment. I imagined my bed forming lips right now before where I laid. For some reason, this image stuck to my brain. Play with me, play with me. The words continued to barrage my mind, leaving me restless and frantic. Now I wanted to open my eyes, but some mystical force kept them splitting open. The lips on my bed moved and hummed. I felt a chilling vibration under where I laid. A tongue stretched out of its lips and licked my entire back. I tried moving my limbs, but just like my eyes, they remained paralyzed. Play with me. The lips opened wide and released a hot stream of breath. The air below scorched my entire body. My body started to sink deeper and deeper inside my bed. The sheets and comforts swallowed me whole. At this point, breathing became an impossible task. The oxygen surrounding me grew thin. Darkness consumed my sight. I opened my eyes. Everything remained still. Nothing seemed disturbed. Well, except for me, of course. From the window above my head, the moon shone its silver light through my blinds. My heart raced 1,000,000 miles per second. With the help of the moon, I managed to scan my entire room for anything suspicious. Everything appeared normal and intact, thankfully. Sweat drenched my entire body, making my pajamas and bed sheets stick to my skin like superglue. I thought about pulling my blanket in order to cool myself down, but something told me it'd be better if I laid underneath my sheets. Maybe it was my childish mind pretending that my blankets can actually protect me from any monster or demon. Oh, how I miss the innocence of my mind as a child. The creepiness of what I just experienced settled on my mind. I shivered deeper into my bed, despite how hot my body felt. Some traces of my memory told me that everything was just some sick and bizarre nightmare, but I knew better than that. At that point in my childhood, I dealt with my fair share of paranormal experiences. Play with me. I heard the child's tenuous voice loud and clear. As calm and gentle as the child's tone sounded, it somehow pierced the silence inside my room like a sharp knife slicing through human flesh. Worst of all, it simulated whatever emotion I felt most at the moment, and currently, anxiety took hostage of my conscience. I peeked at the closet door that stood across from me. The moonlight provided full clarity of the entire wooden surface. Both doors remained closed just how I left them before I slept. A noise came behind them. It sounded like someone or something was shuffling in between my clothes. The first levels of trepidation kept my body at bay. I wanted nothing more than to run away, but the child's voice already drew me in with its mystical hands, and they refused to let me go. The door creaked open, the rusty hinges releasing a sour hiss, and the bottom of a closet grinding against the hardwood floor. I rattled in my bed as if I were having a seizure. Each second that passed stretched farther and farther. More movement occurred behind the shadows that the closet door created. I struggled hard to gather my thoughts, but they scattered themselves and blew far away from my mind, like pieces of paper against an autumn wind. "Play with me." I heard the child better, now that the closet door didn't restrict the full volume of his voice. That was worse for me, however. I tried bottling in all of my terrified emotions, but the bastard broke the glass free, and let my feelings spill out of my skin and bones like blood from an open wound. At this point, I thought I'd drown in my sweat. The child stepped forward. I heard the sound of his soft and delicate foot tap against the door. I strained my eyes harder at the closet door, trying to catch a quick glimpse at the boy who had been disturbing my sleep for over a year now. Every time I tried, however, I always failed. The child always hid himself amongst the shadows. He took his time approaching me, as if hesitant and fearful of my own presence. When this happened, I began feeling sympathetic towards the poor child. I reminded myself that every night he paid me a visit, he never tried to hurt or harass me. Sure, he somehow scared the crap out of me, but this seemed unintentional. It was only my own head worried and paranoid with the unknown, nothing more. The child swayed closer to where I laid. What more can I have done but just lay there and let the boy do as he pleased? Some nights the child crept out of my closet door. He spent most of his time gazing in my direction. Even though I couldn't tell if he had eyes to look at me, I still sensed his glare on my face. At first this really freaked me out. I mean, who would enjoy being stared at as you try to sleep? But it almost felt as if he were guarding me from my own nightmares. But as always, no matter what, he asked the same question over and over again. "Play with me." I never responded back. I always just fell back to sleep or waited till the sun rose and the boy returned back to my closet or wherever the hell he came from. That night, however, I finally spoke back. "Okay," I whispered, my words leaving my lips like syrup drooling out of my mouth. "What do you want to play?" The boy stopped walking. I know it surprised him somehow. The nervous energy that transpired between us almost felt tangible. I waited with patience to see what would happen next. The child shrilled and I let out a loud shriek. I joined in on the screaming as if trying to compete who can shout the loudest. Immediately after this, the boy's entire presence vanished from where he remained. But before the boy disappeared, I spotted something weird about him. See, the moment he left, a small flash of light emerged from where he stood. This granted my eyes one split second to finally see what the child looked like. It was far from what I expected. The first thing that caught my eyes was the boy's face. He looked as pale as snow and his lips appeared numb and blue. A small helmet of blonde hair rested atop the boy's head. Dirt and grass were smeared all over the child's cheeks and forehead. The most distinctive feature, however, were the boy's hollow, demented eye sockets. They looked like two endless dark tunnels. The longer you gazed at the child's empty eyes, the more the shadows inside sucked you in. Right in the middle of the boy's body, just inside his intestines, remained a big blob of red and yellow light. A maze of veins glowed inside the boy's naked stomach. It almost seemed as if the child were pregnant. It took me a while to recognize the child. Right when I realized who he was, I yelled until my throat began bleeding from the inside. It was Ricardo, my best friend who died when I was only 5 years old. The incident occurred when I was 6. A lot has changed over the past 11 years, but to some extent nothing has changed at all. Sometimes the thing you'd least expect end up happening after all. For instance, I would have never predicted that I would befriend the ghosts that had been haunting my night since I was 5 years old, but I'll get to that in a bit. To explain the full story, I guess I need to begin with my family. And I moved into Union City around the turn of the 21st century. I was 2 at the time, still very young and naive to the many dangers that possess this earth. The reason that my family left New York... The reason my family left New York and entered New Jersey instead was because of the death of their stillborn child. I was supposed to have an older sibling, but the child died during birth. It happens often and nobody's to blame, really. My parents, however, couldn't properly deal with the shame or guilt of their first child dying. They become very unstable and reckless because of it. A month or so after the infant died, they immediately tried tried once more to make another, I guess out of pure desperation. This is how I was brought into this world. I am the result of two emotionally broken adults who relied on my birth to restore their hope in the world. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing for me, but either way I managed to survive this time. Even after my birth, however, my folks still carried the weight of their deceased baby on their shoulders. They quickly left New York as soon as possible. They stayed at the city and house they lived in constantly reminded them of their dead child. All of my parents' neighbors and friends looked forward to the upcoming child at the time. When my folks informed everyone that the child never made it out of the womb alive, the disappointment that crossed their lives escalated to something morbid and pitiful. I claim myself a New Yorker, even though I lived most of my life in New Jersey. My parents often took me there since my father still worked at his job in the big city. They used to always take me near where they lived once and introduce me to all their previous neighbors. I remember very distinctly how most of them glared and studied me. They thought of me as a child from heaven itself. They always littered me with gifts and provided special privileges for whatever I desired. I was always shy around them, so I never begged for anything, and at times the attention became overwhelming. During some of our trips, however, I began noticing the hidden depression in my parents' hearts once they spent a little too much time around their old house. I once caught my mother crying inside one of her best friend's room when I was 4. When I approached her and asked her what was wrong, she simply shook her head, a waterfall of tears rushing down her red eyes, and took hold of my back and shoulders with her bare arms. My mother embraced me with a gracious hug and whispered in my ear how much she loves me, how lucky I am to be a part of her life. Her moist and warm face rubbed against my own cheeks. At some occasions I would have found this annoying, but I sensed and empathized with my mother's pain even at such a young age. Even though I had no idea what the hell was going on, I still knew that I needed to hug my mother strongly in order to make her feel better. Despite the setbacks my parents faced, they somehow found a way to move forward. At such a young age, I learned to be grateful at the circumstances that passed through my life. Some parents might have fought and divorced each other if something tragic ever shot at their lives. Some parents might have relied on drugs and alcohol in order to mellow out the agony dwelling deep in their hearts and souls. My parents decided to act differently. They looked at me as an inspiration, and chose to dedicate their life into raising me correctly. They thanked God that I had survived, and took it as a sign to make the best life for me. For this I owe them all of my regards, and I can't be any more appreciative for what they've done. But nothing could have prepared the 3 of us for what hit me when I turned 5. My close friend from kindergarten passed away around that time. His name was Ricardo Hernandez. I saw this kid since I started school at the age of 4 in pre-K. We met there, and that same first day we instantly became best pals. I remember we couldn't remember our names for the first few weeks, so we just called each other amigo. It was adorable. As bashful as I somehow managed to be comfortable with him only. We just clicked. I couldn't explain it any other way. Ricardo died from breathing problems. I didn't quite know the specifics back then. I just knew that he needed to remove his tonsils. Ricardo's folks scheduled the appointment to proceed with the treatment as soon as they found out. I think a day or so before the surgery was supposed to happen, Ricardo died in his old bed while watching cartoons. The hospital told his parents that the dysfunction of his lungs wasn't anything that serious, but I guess they must have overlooked something important. Fucking bastards. Death has a way of messing with parents. If the Grim Reaper does exist, then that son of a bitch must have some grudge against my mom and dad. They reacted with devastation at the news of my best friend's sudden death. They knew how close Ricardo and I became, and because of this friendship, my parents ended up befriending Ricardo's folks. Like any decent adult would do, my mother and father comforted and mourned with my best friend's parents together. I'm going to end this part here so I can actually post this on YouTube, but I will upload the second part very soon. Thanks guys, see you next time.